Армысыздар, Салмақты сұхбат атты авторлық онлайн кездесуімнің алғашқы қонағы Ұлыбританиядағы Кембридж университетінің түлегі, Канададағы Макгилл университетінің ғылыми қызметкері, PhD докторы, оңтүстік кореялық Анжуку.
Қош келдіңіз, қалыңыз қалай?
Жақсы, рахмет.
Өзге емес, өзім айтам, өз жайымда деп Қасым Аманжолов айтқандай, өзіңіз жайлы қазақша бірер сөз.
Менің атым Үнжу. Мен қазақ тілін оқып, Қазақстан туралы зерттеп жүргелі 15 жылдай болды.
Тамаша.
Өлім қазақ, өлім кәріс, жаным қазақ. Мен Алматыда 2 жылдай қазақ тілін меңгеріп, содан кейін Ұлыбританияда магистратура, докторантурада қазақ тілі туралы, жалпы Қазақстан туралы диссертация жазып, қазір Канададағы Макгилл университетте зерттеуші болып жұмыс істеймін.
Жақсы. Hello everyone again. Welcome to our online meeting. I'm Қуаныш Жұмабекұлы. I'm pleased to be with you today and to have the opportunity to introduce our guest speaker, Dr. Нжуку. Dr. Нжуку is a research associate at McGill University in Canada. Mrs. Нжу, you know that one of the most rewarding aspects of the human experience is our ability to connect with others. Being able to communicate with someone in his or in her language is an incredible gift. However, learning a foreign language is not an easy thing. It's a long and slow process that takes a lot of time and efforts. I would like to ask you, what sparked your interest to learn Kazakh language?
I agree what you just said. It's indeed, it's interesting and it's amazing to learn a new language because it's not only you become to understand someone else better, but also you can understand their perspective of things, right? Of the word and everything. So I think it's amazing. I was actually, so first encounter was like, I think I was in a high school. And by accident, I watched a documentary about Korean diaspora in Central Asia. That's how I learned about Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. And then in 2004, I had to choose what to study, you know. And then I heard that there was Central Asian department, which was about to open. It was a newly opened department for undergrad at least. So I was one of the 20 students who first joined the department to study Central Asia. So I learned we had a Kazakh teacher. We also had a professor who spoke fluent Kazakh. So I learned from them for 4 months. And then in 2004, summer, I had the opportunity to visit for 1 month. So that was the first time I actually visited Kazakhstan. And I studied the Kazakh language at Kazgu, Kazakh National University. And then I don't know, I was fascinated by the culture, the food, the people, the language. It was just so different. So as a person from a monolingual and monoethnic country, it was an eye-opening experience to, just to see these people, different people speaking different languages was very interesting to me. And also I really like the culture, very unique. I thought it's very unique because you could see the Soviet legacy. At the same time, you can see the original, like very authentic Kazakh culture as well. So it mingled very well, and it created like very unique atmosphere. So that was the main reason why I continue, conducting research on Central Asia, because I simply fell in love. And yeah, and I wish I could tell you better story, like, oh, I had a Kazakh boyfriend, but that's the story.
Okay, thank you. As you said, you did your doctorate at Cambridge University, and your thesis is about Kazakh language. What difficulties did you encounter during writing a thesis? What results did you achieve after the study?
When I first decided to do PhD, I had to think about what I want to do for my dissertation, right? Then I was thinking, okay, what should be the best topic? What interests me the most about Kazakhstan? I wrote a short dissertation for my master's on water resource and also petroleum, natural resources as well. But do I really want to do that? Am I really genuine interest? And so I was thinking about it for a long time. Then I realized, okay, it should be language. So that's how I decided to study about the Kazakh language and the policy. I wanted to look at the society, Kazakh society, through the lens of language. I'm not a linguist, so I don't know much about, all these grammars and, I don't have any linguistic aspect, but I wanted to understand society through the Kazakh language. So then my research topic actually came out from my own experience. So as I said earlier, I lived in Almaty for 2 years in 2005 and 6. So I went back to Almaty and I studied at INIAS, study Kazakh. And during the time, when I spoke in Kazakh to people, I received 2 different reactions from the people. Like on the one hand, like some people told me, oh, you're amazing, you speak, fluent Kazakh and we love it. And you're our daughter, you're our guest. Sometimes I got free vegetable from Cook Bazaar, or some people gave me free ride, And others, actually, I found that they questioned me, like, why do you study Kazakh instead of Russian? Because Russian is more useful. You're in Almaty, you should go, why didn't you go to Shymkent then? Why didn't you go, southern part of Kazakhstan? You better learn Russian. So I felt a little bit discouraged. And I don't know, I thought, okay, that's really sad because some people really think their language is not valuable. But then later, I realized that I was actually wrong. I was very biased. I took it too personally, maybe, but I was wrong because language is not only a source of identity or culture, or emblem of patriotism. It's also, we can look at it as a commodity that has economic value. So, I realized that those who told me, like, why didn't you learn Russian, actually talk about this economic aspect of the language rather than devaluing their own language. So I was motivated to understand that, okay, after 10 years, so my PhD was in between 2012 and 2006. So I wanted to know what happened after 10 years. My question started from, do Kazakh people still believe that Kazakh has no value in the labor market or in general economic market? So I went back to Kazakhstan in 2013 and collected data from different social institutions like universities, public organizations, and private organizations as well. So I wanted to know the perspective of young people. That's why I went to different universities and I met different students, final year students who were looking for jobs, for instance. I was particularly interested in financial sector, which is considered to be a Russian dominating place, right? In financial sector, many people spoke because they, you know, they had been speaking Russian. So it was, I felt that it could have been very difficult for them to adjust to new kind of linguistic environment. So I met people from different banks in Kazakhstan, in both Astana and Almaty. And yeah, and also, yeah, what I found from my data was that actually Kazakh gained some economic value. It's no longer just about identity or, you know, just about patriotism. It has become a commodity that can be sold and bought in market. And actually, I found many interesting cases how young people, entrepreneurs, or you know, Kazakh people try to take the idea of the government and move to the next level, which means I saw people open a little business, like toy business, for example. So in Kazakhstan, toy is a big thing, right? Wedding parties and so on. So even you don't speak Kazakh, but you're ethnic Kazakh, you invite Kazakh singer to sing in Kazakh. You create a whole atmosphere, like you want to show your culture in your toy. So I met several people who started their business in this, like singing, entertaining industry. I also, it's a very small number, but I also found some young entrepreneurs, they wanted to start business like edu-tourism, like you invite people and take them to Jailao and you put them in the camp and then you make them learn Kazakh and experience Kazakh culture. So yes, it's about culture and language, but at the same time, the language actually gained economic value. So I was also thinking that, you know, sometimes people need to be told by an outsider. So as an outsider, I wanted to really tell people that, look, don't tell me that, oh, you know, Kazakh is not really useful for my career. No, it's not true. I saw many cases, like many job seekers, like university students, who were not ethnic Kazakh, but who were eager to learn the language. So that was a big difference. And also, compared to 2005 and 6, definitely, like I have less problem when speaking Kazakh on the street, Kazakh only, because in 2005 and 6 people use more Russian, whereas in 2004 or 5 when I was there for my PhD data collection, I really didn't see any problem, like living in Almaty without speaking Russian. And I think also it was time to move on to the next level of discussion of the Kazakh language by connecting Kazakh with labor market and economic market, because we talk a lot for 20 years after the independence. We talk a lot about language and identity, language and, you know, culture, and that's very, very important. But at the same time, I really wanted to see the fast changing society and economic development and how this affects the status of language in the economic market. So I also believe that the government policy, for instance, in 1997, was not simply like imposing a new language to the whole population. I believe that the government rather created like a multilingual playing field for people. So like now trilingualism is encouraged by the government. So yeah, so I think it's moving towards very good direction. And I think these days, like young people, especially more and more people learn a new language for economic gain. For example, better access to opportunities, right? So why did I learn English, right? English really offered me a lot of different opportunities, studying in abroad, getting a job in abroad. So language is really connected to economic resources. So Kazakh is moving towards that direction. So Kazakh is gaining economic value, which means young people, more and more people see it necessary and useful. So yeah, and I also, one thing I just want to add about this is that I saw many people, I heard many stories like, oh, he's Kazakh, he doesn't speak Kazakh. Oh, that's so sad. But I think we should also not judge people from their fluency, like with their fluency in the Kazakh language, because when we think about the identity formation of Kazakh, it's very hard to put in one category. If you are ethnic Kazakh but Russian speaking, if you were born during the Soviet time and your parents didn't learn because they grew up and they were educated during Soviet time, you just simply don't have a chance to learn the language. And then maybe you were born during the Soviet time, but you were educated under the new government. So it's very complicated, right, to understand what is Kazakh, who are they, right? So I think, you know, it's really, how can I say, like, it should be about diversity and, how can I say, like, integrating rather than dividing. So yeah, I just hope that continuously, you know, Kazakh people have idea on this, think about the language situation, and also have like a lot more discussion on this issue. Difficulties were everywhere, right? First of all, like being a female, being a student, PhD student, and being foreigner. These three things make very difficult wherever you are, right? So being a woman is usually, I meant by safety, because I had to travel like different region in Kazakhstan, across Kazakhstan, Almaty to Astana to Shymkent, Saragash, Jetsai. So I was basically everywhere for 8 months, and I was by myself. I was traveling alone. And as a student, I had low budget, so I had to, you know, take a night bus or train instead of flights. So that was hard, but whenever I faced challenge, I just got so much help from the people, like the people I used to know, or new people, or even like people on the streets. I got so much help. So I didn't have an issue. For example, when I went to Shymkent for the first time, there was a really amazing Agay who showed me around, who took me a good restaurant, who found a place, hotel for me, and he was just amazing. But you see, you just meet amazing people there, and that really helped me push, you know, go through my difficult times during PhD. PhD is very challenging, but you know, I got so much help. Another thing was, as a person who spent a lot of time in Kazakhstan, who spoke Kazakh, who had many Kazakh friends, it was very hard for me to keep distance, be objective as a scholar, because I felt like I was too assimilated to the culture people. So sometimes I misinterpret or I judge certain social phenomenon with my own bias. So I took a side, which shouldn't be like that, right? As a researcher, you should be fair, you should see more through a more objective lens, but it was very difficult to make balance on that. So my supervisors and my friends who read my dissertation really helped me. Okay, Unju, you cannot really interpret this in this way. So they guided me a lot. So yeah, there was another difficulties I had.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you are right about language problem in our country. We are working on it. I hope we will achieve a goal in the future. You are a good example for them who don't speak in Kazakh in Kazakhstan. You did you did good things, I think. Kazakhstan and South Korea are more than 10,000 kilometers away. but they have a lot of common history and culture. As we know, you used to live in Kazakhstan for a few years. What could you tell about the similarities of the culture, language, and the people's behavior of Kazakhstan and South Korea?
Although Kazakhs used to be nomad and Koreans have sedentary culture, we really indeed have similarities. I really didn't feel any kind of culture difference with my Kazakh friends, for example. I didn't have any like, I cannot think of anything that it was really extremely different. But one of the things it was that Korea is a Confucian country, right? So we respect elders in very explicit ways. So that's what I learned about when I first studied in Almaty, and we learned about Kazakh culture, and then I was surprised to see how similar we are in terms of ulkender silau. You know, when they're walking jol kespeu because they are senior, or you give you know, like in the yurt, for example, you give a good seat to the elder person as of a way to show respect. And I also
call it in Kazakh Türk.
Yeah, Türk oturguzu. So that was the thing. I found it okay. We're really, really similar. Also, konakshai aspect, I would say. So, for instance, when we have guests, we of course we do our best to prepare food, and that's our culture. It's part of our culture. Also, Kazakhs are amazing, people. They do so many things for the guests and very welcoming. And when I remember when I once traveled from Saragash to Almaty by bus. So they told me, oh, it will take 12 hours, but actually it took 24 hours to arrive to Almaty. But that time, because I just came back from Uzbekistan, I didn't have tenge. I only had 1,500 tenge for the bus, and I had maybe 100 tenge for the bathroom. And I didn't have money. I had a bottle of water. That's all I had. And I thought, okay, 12 hours, it's okay, because I'm gonna go to bed. I will sleep on the bus, so it will be fine. But actually, the bus broke down 3 times in the middle of the road. I was hungry. I couldn't sleep because the bus was moving, like shaking, and it was really hot. There was no air conditioning because the bus was so old. And then, I was obviously like a person who is just sitting in fear, like, can I really arrive to Almaty? I was questioning. And then, these people, they share food, they share water, and they wanted to talk with me. They wanted to hear my story. And I felt actually safe, because we were middle of nowhere. It was really dark, and the bus broke again at 3 a.m. I was scared, right? But people told me, like, don't worry, it's okay, we'll get there, have some food. So yeah, that's the hospitality that I was really, impressed. And yeah, I would say that's a thing that we also have. Maybe you should come to Korea one day. Maybe I will have you as my konak. But yeah, that's the thing. In terms of language, we share similar grammar structure, right? So it's all Altai language.
Yeah.
So, for instance, when you say "men mektepke baraman," we say the same sentence, exact same order, in the same order. For example, "men mektepke baraman," but when you speak in English, or maybe in Russian, it's different order, right? So that's why it's much easier for Kazakh speaker to learn Korean than, let's say, Russian speakers learn Korean. That's what I found out. They learn really quickly. So for instance, for like myself, it was not difficult at all to understand the grammar structure. Of course, I had to memorize all the different vocabularies and everything, but it was much easier for me. Yeah. But I also want to say what's so different from my own experience, the chai culture, you know, drinking chai all the time, every hour maybe. Kazakhs love chai and black tea, right? When I first came to Almaty, I went as a guest. My friend invited me, so I went there, and then she offered me tea over and over and over. In Korea, it's not very polite if you say, "Oh no, I don't want to." So I kept drinking the tea the whole night, and I couldn't sleep at all. So after a couple of mistakes I made, I later learned that, okay, if you don't want any more tea, you should say stop. So yeah, so the tea culture was very different.
Okay. There are many stunning culture facts about South Korea, right? For example, the difference is that in Korea, everyone is already 1 year old at birth. Could you tell about other interesting facts of South Korea?
I'm sure you know about some Korean food, right? Like kuksi, kimchi, you know, it's familiar for, you know, it's, oh, I love kuksi, by the way. But we have this food, and the most important thing for us is actually rice, krush. We don't eat bread. Traditionally, I mean, of course, some people eat bread, but we just assume that when you have breakfast, lunch, dinner, there should be rice, and bread is kind of snack in between. That's our general perception. So when you say, for example, when you say, have you eaten? You would say, tamak jediniz ba? Tamak деген сөз, Korey tilinde kurush. So if someone asks you, for example, tamak jediniz ba, doesn't mean that also, it doesn't mean that they are actually curious to know whether you had rice or not. It's just the way you phrase it. You see what I mean? Like, we use this word krush for meal, like tamak is the same, because that shows a lot of how much we eat rice.
Can you say tamak jediniz bе in Korean?
밥 먹었어? 식사하셨어요? 밥 is krush.
Okay.
Or not krush, but like rice, I would say. Cooked rice. So if someone say like, have you had cooked rice? It doesn't mean that you literally want to know whether you had cooked rice or bread. It means, have you eaten? Have you had your meal? So that's one thing. Also, we bow a lot. Maybe many of you watch from Korean drama, that when we see elder person or new person, we bow to say hi, right?
I know it.
So when I went to, I had a visit to Korean department at INIAS one day in 2003-04. I was invited to speak with the students there. And then one of the students told me, I was very surprised. She said, oh, I didn't know that you're actually Korean until I saw you bowing. You know, so I didn't even remember that I bow when I entered the room. But she said, oh, I thought you could be Kazakh, you could be, you know, from local, but you're local. But she said, the minute I saw you bowing, I immediately know that you're not Kazakh, you're Korean. So bowing is part of, you know, it's almost like inbuilt thing for us. Like, we bow all the time. I'm not sure whether it's really interesting, but
okay.
one of my Kazakh friend went to South Korea to travel. So she went different places during summer, and then when I met her, she told me, Indra, I couldn't find hot tea because Kazakhs drink hot tea even during summer. But she said in South Korea, we couldn't find it. And I said, of course, who drinks hot beverage, right? It's so hot, you should drink iced tea, iced Americano, So yes, maybe you can find like hot coffee, but hot tea, it's really hard, I think. And yeah, we don't really drink hot beverage during summer. Last thing, you know, these days Korean dramas are so popular everywhere. I want to say that, you know, some people ask me like, oh, the Korean guys all handsome? I want to say that they exist only in the movies, maybe. So you know, don't think that everyone look like movie stars in Korea. Yeah, that's all.
Okay. Thank you. You're working as a research associate at McGill University in Canada now. What is your advice to those who want to study or research abroad?
I actually, yeah, I've been thinking about this lately. It's been since 19. It's been 15 years, and I've been living in a foreign country for 10 years. So I lived in Kazakhstan for 2 years, and then I lived in the UK for 5 years, and it's been 3 years since I came to Canada. I've been living in Canada. So I know it's hard and challenging to live in a foreign country and study, right? Because it's totally different when you study abroad. It's you don't only have to think about, you know, studying, but you also have to care about your survivor, right? So in a foreign country, like, you have to make new friends, you have to get used to new curriculum at school. You have to also think about what to eat for dinner, and you have to, you know, there are many things that are challenging. But at the same time, I would say it's really rewarding, because if I had not chosen to come to Kazakhstan or the UK, I would not be the same person, you know. I could have been a different person by now, because being abroad, studying abroad is not only about degree, right? It's about experiencing different culture, meeting different people, and you broaden your perspective. So before, maybe 10 years ago, people would think, oh, only rich people can go, you know, study abroad and do PhD or masters in the UK. Oh, they must be rich. How can we afford? But that's not true. These days, there are amazing scholarship programs, including Bolashak. Bolashak is really amazing. I have many friends who came to Cambridge with the Bolashak scholarship, and they're brilliant, like, they're talented, and they got all the support from the government. There are also other scholarship offered by foreign countries, foreign governments, or foreign organizations. So if you dream about studying abroad, do not hesitate, search. There are a lot of information available online. And also, like, many organizations are eager to find young, talented students whom they can support. Also, I want to say that although everyone knows where Kazakhstan is, it's still Central Asian studies in general is very small in international academia. So we need more people, you know, global talent. We need someone from Kazakhstan or other countries in Central Asia to study and to be part of this international academia. So I highly encourage you to try and find an opportunity. Also, I want to say that if anyone needs help in terms of studying abroad, just find me on LinkedIn or Facebook. I'll do my best to help, because I know it's not really easy, and is to know the right person and get the right information, and the whole process is very long, right? To apply, and then you get offer, and then you have to move to a new country, settle down, study at the same time. So I wish I could help if anyone in Kazakhstan is interested in conducting research in abroad.
Mm-hmm. As before, I told you, I have studied in Turkey for 4 years. It was really a great chance for me to see the world. It has many good things, studying in abroad. Do you plan to work in Kazakhstan in the future?
I don't have actually a specific plan. I actually don't know where I'll be, whether I will stay in Canada or whether I will go other countries. But definitely Kazakhstan is one of my options, and I would love to go back and have opportunity to live there, not just traveling. But also, it's been already 5 years since I visited Kazakhstan for the last time, right? It was 2005. And then I came back to the UK, finished my PhD, moved to Canada. And Canada and Kazakhstan are really far. I didn't really think much when I decided to move to Canada, but it's really far. So I didn't really have an opportunity to go back. So next year, if everything goes back to normal, I would love to visit Kazakhstan. And because my husband, he read a lot of my work on Kazakhstan, so he's almost like a half expert on Kazakhstan. So he would love to see and experience by himself. I want to take him to like Taring Canyon, lakes, beautiful lakes, and Shimla. You know, I want to share the experience with him. So we are planning to actually go next year. Working, I'm looking for an opportunity. I hope so.
Okay, our online meeting is coming to its end. The last question is, who are your favorite writers, poets, and scientists?
Definitely one of my favorite poets is Pushkin. I love one of his poems. I love it. It's called "Should This Life Sometimes Deceive You?" Do you know, like, "Если жизнь тебя обманет"? Do you know this poem? Because
yeah, I know.
Definitely like the most famous Russian poem in South Korea, and it was translated by one of our Korean, like famous Korean poets as well. But this poem is so beautiful, and it really helps me go through difficult times in different stages of my life, because it's very encouraging and philosophical, and I love it. I loved Tolstoy so much. I remember my mom bought me a Tolstoy book for children, so I started reading Tolstoy from a really young age. But another author I want to really mention is Dulat Isabekov, contemporary Kazakh writer. Of course, his books are amazing. Like, I read Gauhar Tas. I would still love to read more books, and I also heard that he also wrote some like scenario for spectacles as well. So I haven't had a chance to watch some spectacles of his, but I like him also as a person. I had the opportunity to meet him a couple of times in the UK and in Kazakhstan. He was very supportive with my research, and he's just an incredible person and extremely talented writer. And he showed a lot, you know, his book, like, I just felt that the words are so beautiful, although I couldn't read in Kazakh, sadly. It's very sad. I really want to try again in Kazakh because I know how rich the language is. So I wish I could try again, but yeah, I want to say that he's one of my favorite writers in Kazakhstan.
Okay. I would like to thank you for taking the time to speak to our listeners. We really appreciate that. Dr. Anju, if you have anything to say to our listeners, please go ahead.
Thank you so much for inviting me today, because I felt at some point a little bit disconnected with Kazakhstan, because it's been a long time since I actually visited Kazakhstan. But I'm still working on, you know, my research project is about Kazakhstan. So Kazakhstan is in my everyday life. I want to say thank you, Quanesh, for having an opportunity to reconnect. And also I want to say that I wouldn't have managed to conduct research and explore new things in Kazakhstan without the support of the local people. Like, not only my friends, of course, my friends in Kazakhstan gave me so much help, so much support, but also those who I met really randomly on the street. Like, each person really supported me in different ways, emotionally, and, you know, with many ways. So I would like to say that I really appreciate for everything I received from Kazakhstan, and I hope I can return, as a scholar. I wish I can conduct some great research that has some implications, some practical implications to the people, and make life better in Kazakhstan, even better.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Unju. Thank you, everyone, for being with us today. See you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.